I wasn't ready for a serious relationship, but I thought I was. I'm a city girl who loves partying, clubbing, and exploring. I didn't think I'd get married. I was against marriage. I used to say I'd never get married. I wanted to have fun, but here I was, walking down the aisle to my ex-husband. My marriage was a bit of a disaster. I wanted to spice things up, but I guess I was wrong. It's been a couple of months since we separated, and I have to admit I miss him. I regret trying to explain why I wanted us to open our relationship. It all went wrong, and it wasn't what I'd expected. Our love story had blossomed over the years. It was filled with laughter, shared dreams, and unwavering commitment. However, I began to feel a sense of restlessness within me. I am only 25 and the world seems to be expanding before my eyes. I craved new experiences, yearned to explore different facets of life, and felt an overwhelming desire to spread my wings. I believed that opening our relationship would allow me to satisfy this yearning without sacrificing the love we shared. I didn't know who to talk to nor share my story with because I lost all my friends. That is why I would love some advice from you. Please, no judgments. I am a 25-year-old female who met my ex. My husband, Charlie, is a 29-year-old male at the Four Seasons Hotel restaurant in Toronto, Canada. He approached me while I was waiting alone for someone. He said he was there to meet a client, so we agreed to meet the following week. He stayed at the hotel until he met his client. He was a very sophisticated and enthusiastic person. I could tell he loved his job. I also liked his appearance and the way he carried himself. I felt drawn to him for some reason. Was I being sluttish? Chairs is a handsome and charming man. We had a chat and a couple of drinks. He was a very interesting guy, but way too serious and focused more on making money. He asked me out and we went on a couple of dates. I really thought I'd changed. I wasn't partying anymore or even going out with my friends, which is why I didn't think about telling him that I loved going out and exploring new places and partying. I actually thought it was not. I thought I'd left that life behind when I got into a relationship with him. I just wanted to spend my time with him. I was in love. He was such a romantic person. Every chance he got, he would go all out to make me happy. But I wasn't fully happy. There was something missing in my life. You know, in our relationship, there was a bit of a vibe missing. Our intimate moments were over the top. It was everything, but I wanted more. We once went to Hawaii. I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. It was my first time leaving Canada since that day. We would fly out on each and every holiday. He proposed in Paris, the city of love. I couldn't resist. I agreed to marry him on the spot. I went home and told them the good news. Months went by and we got married. I moved to his luxury apartment in Manhattan. Straight after the wedding, he made me quit my job. He said he is going to take care of me. He needs me at home and warming up his sheets. I guess that's when the problem started. I had too much. I had a lot of time on my hands. I didn't know what to do. He usually had meetings since they had promoted him at work. I'll leave his name out for professional reasons, but we also traveled a lot and even bought a house in Miami for Christmas holidays. We don't like the cold weather in New York during the winter season. We've been together for 3 years and have shared so many memories and dreams. Lately, though, I've been feeling restless. I'm 25 and I feel like I'm missing out on my youth. I got married I was 22 when we got married, so I didn't have much time to explore and live my youthful life. I wanted to try new things and meet new people. I thought that opening our relationship could be an answer, but I guess I was wrong. My thoughts got me kicked out and divorced after a few years of being in a monogamous relationship. I felt like something was missing. I loved her husband, Charlie, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed more. I wanted to explore my sexuality and try new things, but Charlie, he wasn't keen on the idea of opening up our relationship. We did travel to some nice places, but he didn't want us to go to any clubs or any fun places. He only chose those serious places with serious people, and I didn't want that. I wanted us to live our lives to the fullest so that when it's time to have kids or grow old, we won't regret not living our lives to the fullest. I had tried asking him to at least let loose a little and allow himself to enjoy his youth, but he wasn't having it. He said that letting loose is for people who don't know what they want and have no goal and ambition. I was taken aback by that statement. I somehow felt offended by it, but he would manage to shift from being serious to the funny, boring Charlie. So one day I felt like I was missing out. You know, I had signed up for more than just staying in the house. I kept seeing my friends' posts on social media and they were having the best time of their lives, while I was glued to the house like a built-in furniture. I missed going out. I was still young, after all. I wanted to become a house furnisher. My husband was giving me money to spend on myself and go out to do shopping, but I didn't want that. I wanted to go out with my husband, explore different places, attend different parties and events, or even clubs. We could get intoxicated together and make mistakes. I was married to Charlie, so that was a fantasy. That day, I decided to just go out and have fun. Charlie wasn't around for the weekend, he'd gone to one of his friend's bachelor parties. I decided not to go to the friend's bridal shower because the girl who was getting married to Charlie's. I didn't know the friend well, so I told Charlie I'd stay back and meet him at the wedding the next day. Even though I didn't feel like going, I had to honor my husband and be his +1 when I got there. The club was amazing. The music was pumping, people were dancing, and I felt right at home when I walked in the door. It felt like it was where I belonged. My happiness was in full swing. I bought my own drinks while enjoying the music. Then, a really nice guy with a great mustache came up to me and offered to buy me a drink. I turned him down, but he didn't listen. He bought more drinks and the conversation flowed. It was great hanging out with him. We laughed, danced, and even made jokes about each other's moves. It was exactly what I needed. I felt at peace with so much happiness. I've been going out, partying and clubbing ever since. Trevor was the guy I met at the club. He was 26 and what I liked most about him was that he was not afraid to live for himself. He was also working as an architect, but he allowed himself to let loose a little. He was not afraid to be wild and be himself without any fear of being judged. Trevor and I clicked. We had a lot in common during the times of going out. He'd sometimes ask me to be his date at parties, which was a bit wrong in so many ways, but I felt a sense of belonging. You know, I felt at home. I mean, he allowed me to be wild and carefree, while he also did the same. It was like we were a couple with an open relationship, and it felt great. I wanted that with Charlie, but he didn't pay attention. Over the next month, Trevor and I went to a music concert where DJ Black Coffee, South Africa's best deep house DJ, was playing. It was a great night and I really enjoyed it. I love the DJ and it made me happy to get a chance to be at one of his events that took place in Madison Square Gardens. My husband, or, I should say, my ex-husband, never really cared about what I liked or didn't like. All he cared about was buying me materialistic things that I didn't even like, but I would show happiness because I love him. After DJ Black Coffee's event, we went to another nightclub not far from my house or, as it happens, Charlie's house. We got there and the music was booming, people minding their own business and having fun. I was also having so much fun with. Trevor kept on confessing his feelings for me, which I didn't appreciate. I knew I was married and committed to Charlie, so I didn't consider Trevor's feelings towards me. I knew where my heart belonged, so I told him to remember that I was someone's wife. He said he'd noticed but couldn't live with the fact that he had feelings for me unexpectedly. I regretted it and felt guilty after I kissed Trevor. Yes, I was drunk. I found myself craving Trevor's sexy and pinkish lips. I couldn't contain myself any longer. I know I shouldn't have done that since I am or was married. What I did was breaking the vows that I had made in front of the Lord, both our families and friends. I knew that if Charlie found out about what I had done, things would be very difficult for me and my marriage would be in jeopardy. I was really frustrated and unhappy with what I had done. I decided to talk to Charlie about my desires that day. I had cooked a very nice dinner, his favorites, so we could talk about my issue. I explained how I felt trapped and that I needed some freedom to explore my sexuality. Charlie has always focused on work and showering me with materialistic things, but never asked how I was. I didn't even check if he was happy. I made it clear that I wasn't trying to replace him, but rather to grow as a person. I tried to reason with him, but he wouldn't budge. He believed that opening our relationship would lead to jealousy and heartbreak. So I made the difficult decision to put myself first. I knew that Charlie loved me, and I loved him too, but love alone isn't enough if you're not happy. I really hoped he'd understand. He sees that I'm always at home, doing nothing. It's like I'm part of the furniture. Charlie didn't take it well, though. He felt hurt and betrayed by my request. But Charlie was adamant that he didn't want to share me with anyone else. I explained my feelings, emphasizing that I still loved him deeply but needed more space, so I suggested that we try an open relationship. Charlie was surprised by my proposal. Our relationship is based on trust and exclusivity, so my suggestion surprised and upset him. He even asked if I was cheating on him and if I had met someone else at the club. He asked me if I'd been kissing some guy. I was caught off guard. How did he find out about that? I was shocked and scared about what he'd do next. I decided to deny everything and told him to stop changing the topic. I wish I was cheating on him, but I love him and I couldn't do that. That's why I regret kissing Trevor. Is kissing considered cheating? I suppose you could say I did cheat, but it was only a kiss that didn't even last 5 seconds. I needed to feel alive and happy for once, which is something he couldn't provide. I'm still young to be living the life of a retired soldier. The thought of sharing me with someone else was unbearable to him. I kind of think he was obsessed with me being the housewife. He refused outright, unable to understand my perspective. Chairs expressed his concerns, fearing that opening our relationship would lead to jealousy, mistrust, and ultimately the end of our love. He believed that our bond was sacred and should remain exclusive. We found ourselves at an impasse, each holding on to our beliefs and unable to find a compromise. He got angry at the fact that I wanted to open our relationship. He was convinced that agreeing to open our relationship would mean he was allowing me to cheat on him, which was not what I wanted. But he didn't want to listen. Typical men's ego. The following day, Karis went to work early and came back at night. He asked about the guy that I had been seen spending time with while he was not present. I denied everything he was saying, and it led to we had a massive argument. After a particularly heated one, Karis made a decision that would change our lives forever. I couldn't believe it. I thought he loved me. He packed my belongings and asked me to leave our apartment. He did this just because I wanted an open marriage relationship. He didn't understand things from my perspective. He made a harsh and hurtful decision. I was so devastated. I never thought that my desire for exploration would lead to such a painful outcome. Our disagreement quickly escalated into a heated argument, with strong emotions and hurtful words on both sides. Charles made a decision that shocked us both. I didn't think he would actually make that decision just because I wanted our marriage to be open. He asked me to leave our shared apartment and told me he said he couldn't continue the relationship under the circumstances and told me to expect a call from our lawyer. He wanted me out. The breakup was messy and painful. Char and I were hurt, but I was the one hurting the most. We knew we couldn't stay together if we couldn't agree on such an important issue. I left the apartment, feeling like my heart had been shattered into a million pieces. I wandered aimlessly through the city streets, feeling lost and alone. I didn't want to go back to New York City. If I did, I'd have to face my family and explain why my husband had kicked me out. I wouldn't say he'd kicked me out because I wanted to open our relationship and he refused. So he kicked me out and took away everything I had. As I sat on a park bench, I realized I had lost more than just my relationship. I had lost a part of myself. I ended up spending the night at the nearest hotel. I felt stifled and misunderstood. I was hurt by Charlie's decision. I wasn't expecting him to make such a drastic decision. I know I had done. I felt like he was wrong in so many ways. I mean, the fact that he decided to divorce me just because I wanted us to open our relationship. it's not like I wanted him to quit his job and focus on me and my desires. I wanted us to have freedom to do things in our own ways, the way that would make both of us happy. I was so devastated and filled with regret. I found myself alone, questioning my choices. The hotel stay was tough. I was grieving for my marriage, depressed and felt like I'd lost my heart. I didn't expect things to turn out this way, and the weight of my decision crushed me. I later realized that my desire for exploration had come at a great cost. I reflected on the choices I'd made and the consequences they'd brought. I'd underestimated the depth of Charlie's love and commitment. After spending a couple of days at the hotel, I went back home. Days turned into weeks and I was left to pick up the pieces of my shattered heart. I hadn't healed from the breakup, but I had to start picking myself up. Those days that I had spent at the hotel were enough for me to grieve my marriage. So when I went back to NYC, I decided to embark on a journey of self-discovery. I learned that true freedom comes from within and that love can take many forms through my experiences of traveling to different countries and meeting new people. A year later, I decided to join a support group for people in open relationships and started dating casually. I found that being able to explore my sexuality without restrictions was liberating and empowering. I decided to live my life was a bit of a mixed bag. I had casual hookups or relationships, but none of them had my heart like Charlie's. They were what I call time passers, and they really helped me to explore my desires. I continued partying, going to clubs and meeting new people, even though I missed Charlie's. I still miss him, but I had to put myself first and put my needs and happiness on my first priority list. One day I received a message from Charlie, which was quite a surprise to me because I never thought I would get any sort of communication with Charlie after how things ended between us. In his message, he was apologizing for being so stubborn and inflexible and asked if we could meet for coffee to talk things over. For some reasons I agreed. Things didn't end well and we went our separate ways in a very harsh and hurtful way, so we met at a local cafe. We talked for hours about our relationship and our future. I was surprised because I didn't think I'd hear from Charlie again after we split up. In his message, he was sorry for being so stubborn and asked if we could meet for coffee to talk things over. I agreed for a few reasons. We didn't end things well and we went our separate ways in a very harsh and hurtful way, so we met at a local cafe. We talked for hours about our relationship and we talked about our regrets and our future. We realized that we both still cared for each other, but we knew that we couldn't go back to the way things were before. I mean, Charlie was a workaholic and I was a lover of exploration. This meant that our marriage was doomed from the very beginning. I know I should have told him about my likes and desires before we even started dating, but I thought I had changed and I was ready for the commitment. Charlie and I were two different people. Which is why it was tough for him to agree to open our relationship. He's always about work loyalty, spoiling and loving it. It's like his life is in a little box and it's not moving because it keeps going in circles. I didn't want to be in the box with him. I wanted to spread my wings and explore new things. I wanted to do that with him, but he took it the wrong way over time. I healed and learned from my mistakes. I realized that sometimes wanting to grow personally can clash with our commitment to our loved ones. I promised myself I'd communicate better in future, cherish the relationships that mattered and find happiness within myself. Over time, I found happiness and fulfillment in my own paths. I learned valuable lessons about love, growth and the importance of communication in a relationship. Even though my marriage had ended, the memories I shared with Charlie would forever hold a special place in my heart. My healing journey has taught me the importance of individual growth and finding a balance between personal desires and the commitment to a partner. The support group really helped me discover things about myself that I didn't even know. I also learned that relationships could evolve and change, and that sometimes difficult decisions had to be made for the sake of personal happiness and fulfillment. Sometimes, you have to make difficult decisions for the sake of your own happiness and fulfillment. My marriage ended in a similar way. I know it wasn't easy for Charlie, but sometimes you have to make a decision that's right for you, even if it's not the one you want. Two people may find themselves unable to align their desires and needs, leading to a difficult decision. I was happy that I was able to tell Charlie how I felt, even though things didn't work out the way I wanted. I guess that's just how life is. I miss Charlie a lot, but sometimes you have to put yourself first and make compromises. I don't know what would have happened. If I'd stayed in the closet and been unhappy in my marriage, I don't know what would have happened to me or to our relationship. I would have been living a double life, going out and exploring while Charlie was in the dark. Our marriage would have become a secretive, deceitful one. I don't know if I made the right decision of not fighting for Charlie because my heart still yearns for him. I still love him a lot, but on the other hand, I want to put myself and my happiness first. Please help me with the issue that I am currently facing. What should I do in order to fully move on and be myself without thinking about Charlie and our love? I know I made the right decision not to fight for Charlie because my heart still yearns for him. I still love him a lot, but on the other hand, I want to put myself and my happiness first. I'd really appreciate some advice on how to move on and be myself without thinking about Charlie and our love.